I know you've moved into the blueprint process. So why did you decide to move forward?
Again, out of curiosity, it's like, how is all of this going to play a role in the next 6 months to a year in my life?
Right.
And how is the process going to work? I wanted to understand how the process of doing the blueprint and getting the results back, how's that going to integrate and fit in my life? I have to admit, there were many questions in the blueprint form about my childhood. And so that brought me back to a lot of good memories about my childhood and, growing up in small town Virginia. And it also, in the process of working with my guide and with the blueprint, you can start to see some through lines between how you were as a child and where you are now.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
And
how how one little incident when you're in Cub Scouts, for example, still sort of plays out in your life, even though you may not realize it. It's still there.
Got it.
It's still there. The ghost of that little thing when you're an 8-year-old kid can play a role.
And that's very much because there was a certain you at that point in time. And, we've kind of forgotten that you. So one of the things that, obviously the reason for those questions that hark back to childhood is because sort of the easiest place to discover one's innate qualities is often in childhood, because you have had less of a journey of life. And so, most of what plays out when we are younger are our innate qualities. When we grow older, it's a bunch of other stuff as well that kind of gets mixed in. And so, okay, so that was a journey of a little bit of discovery at some level for you.
Yes. And it also helped me remember that, even though I grew, as I was growing up and growing older, I got into journalism more. I was always a little bit of a science kid as well. But I also remember, thinking about the days where after school I would just go out into this field across the street from my house and play. And just play and run around. And remembering that there was still that part of me there. There's still that part of me that wants to daydream a little bit.
Right.
To have adventures.
Right.
To get lost in my mind.
Right.
In a good way. And I think one of the things for me now is trying to figure out how to get back into that. Get into that playfulness, that joy.
Right.
That, we all had as kids.
Right.
And that's feels like one of the next steps for me to figure out and have my guide help me guide that journey.